Donald Trump lost. And anybody who cannot bring themselves to say that out loud, just the way I, as much as it pains me, will say Donald Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost the election back in 2016.
That was Pete Buttigieg. Hello guys, and welcome back to Inside the Daily Gist. We are back again like we never left. Welcome back guys, and thank you. Yes, my friend, we have a long clip to watch. And we are gonna watch this together because this guy right here, Pete Buttigieg, he is not afraid to go to any network and say it the way it is. Yeah, I heard what he said in the last clip. Anybody who cannot accept that your opponent won, you lost. You know what I mean? Just like he said, it was not easy for the Democrats to accept that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016, that Donald Trump won the election. Y'all remember that time? Now the table flipped in 2020. Republicans are still talking about it in 2024. Yeah. Okay, my friends, I'm going to play you this long clip on CNN that Pete Buttigieg went on CNN to talk more in depth about VP Kamala Harris' interview on Fox News. Y'all remember that interview? Yeah. Let's listen to Pete Buttigieg on his take on the interview. Then we are going to finish our thought on the other side.
With 20 days to go until the election, Vice President Kamala Harris went where she has never gone before, and frankly, where no Democratic nominee has gone in quite some time, on Fox. The vice president campaigned for those few persuadable conservative voters in an interview that was contentious right from the jump. Fox's Brett Baer questioned the vice president on everything from immigration to trans rights to how she'd be different than President Biden. She was interrupted several times as she was answering those questions, and there were tense exchanges throughout this entire interview. But it was this moment, maybe, when she was asked about Trump supporters that things got incredibly heated.
Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk.
So are they misguided, the 50%? Are they stupid? What
God,
is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. But think of it. It's called weaponization. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
I want you to see for yourself regarding what Harris is saying there about the clip that they played of Trump. Fox chose to air only Trump's defense of his threats to use the military against United States citizens. But this is what Trump actually originally had to say.
The think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
My lead source tonight is Pete Buttigieg, here, I should note, in his personal capacity as a surrogate for the Harris campaign. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, you introduced yourself at the Democratic National Convention by saying, I'm Pete Buttigieg. You might recognize me from Fox News. You're a frequent guest on that network. What were your thoughts on this interview tonight?
Well, it was really impressive on her part. She was tough, smart, focused, disciplined, the same qualities that made her prosecutor, and I think are going to make her a very effective president. And she did it in territory that's obviously not ideologically friendly. I think she'd have many reasons to think twice about whether she was going to get fair treatment on Fox News. But even as they were interrupting her, preventing her from speaking, she got her point across, and she called out things like that moment, that exchange that we just saw, where they attempted to sidestep the shocking fact of someone wanting to be president, calling Americans the enemy from within. And I think it's especially appropriate, actually, for her to do that on Fox, because, when I think about conservatives, Republicans that I know, one of the things that's that I'm most sympathetic to about what sincere conservatives care about is a passion for liberty and a real concern about making sure that liberty is protected. Now, I disagree with a lot of Republican friends who think that, that goes so far that, enforcing the Clean Water Act isn't something we should do because it just might impinge on liberty. But these are the exact folks who need to be reminded about the implications for a freedom-loving country if the next president of the United States is somebody who has more than flirted with, talked about turning the military on American citizens who he disagrees with politically. And I think there are a lot of folks at home, maybe conservative Republicans or independents who lean right, who are thinking to themselves, if you've got a friend or a coworker or a daughter who is more politically to the left than you are, is she going to be safe in a country where the president of the United States calls her the enemy?
Well, I mean, in that interview, as she was making that argument about what Trump has said about the military, the National Guard, and using it against U.S. citizens, when you see that moment there and how she responded about the clip that was played, she's been in politics. Given that you have such experience with going on Fox, did you give her any advice about this interview beforehand?
I wasn't involved in her interview prep. What I will say is that, one principle I try to remember that I thought she demonstrated is making sure not to allow them to kind of change the subject or the framing of the question at hand, right? The whole topic there was the fact that a candidate for president and a former U.S. president described the American people, the ones he disagreed with, as the enemy. And it's really important not to allow some sidestepping of that. So, she did that. She also made sure to continue to get her point across even when she was being repeatedly interrupted. As somebody who has a lot of batting practice myself on that network, really proud of how she represented her views, her values, and this ticket in front of a conservative audience. Something I might add, by the way, that is a show of strength. That is the exact opposite of the weakness that Donald Trump has demonstrated by pulling out of going even on CNBC, which is hardly a liberal bastion, or 60 Minutes, where it's customary for both candidates to go on. He's not prepared to go in front of a skeptical, let alone unfriendly audience. She demonstrated the opposite. And remember, this is in keeping with her continued outreach to conservatives. Look at the difference between her making clear that she would include Republicans in her cabinet, campaigning with so many Republicans, principal Republicans, who are for her, versus him referring to Democrats as the enemy.
Yeah, and there was one point in this interview where she was questioned about a position that she touted on the campaign trail in 2019 that was recently highlighted by CNN's K-File, I should note. It's her support for taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for prison inmates. And here's what she had to say about that tonight.
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition
Well,
surgeries
you know what? You got to
happened
take
during
responsible for what
his
happened in your
presidency.
administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in this presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I
You have a
think
say
Donald
in
Trump would
this.
say he did.
She didn't say what her position is on that or whether or not it's changed. She said she would continue to follow the law, pointing out what the Bureau of Prisons did when Donald Trump when he was in office. But from your view, do you think that she should have said what a Harris administration will do on this front?
I think she was wise to make clear that this is something that is a matter of law. I think there was a court order involved, and that's why you saw the Trump administration doing the same thing. But also, I think she's been very effective at not taking the bait on this. Look, this is all the Trump campaign wants to talk about, even though if you talk to the next 100 people you see on the street or in your life about the biggest things affecting their personal lives, the biggest things are going to be at stake in this election that will shape whether the next years go well for them, like whether the goods and products we buy are affordable in the face of his proposed tariffs, whether their job is secure in the face of him proposing to eliminate some of the policies that are bringing back manufacturing in the Midwest, whether they're going to have personal freedoms in the face of the fact that every woman in America had the right to choose before Donald Trump became president, and then has lost it since he was president. Right? They don't want to talk about that, so they want to talk about this, and I think she very effectively put this issue in its place, which is an issue affecting a tiny number of people, and that has already been laid out by the law, a law that both administrations have complied, and get back to the issues that most Americans actually feel are affecting their everyday life.
Well, and that's a good point, that it's when you look at what voters care about and you ask them, it is not something that is at the top. We're talking economy, immigration, democracy, abortion. Those are the things that we've constantly seen consistently at the top. But this is something that the Trump campaign is highlighting. The quote where she's on camera talking about it and her position and saying, yes, she does believe this is something that should be offered. And they're running this, in critical states during football games. Clearly, it's not just about what all voters think. It's that tiny slice of moderate voters that she is trying to win over. Do you think it could have impact with them?
Well, yeah, they're certainly trying to make this election about anything but the issues that are affecting people's lives the most, right? He doesn't want to explain the fact that his tariffs are going to add thousands of dollars to the cost for a typical family. He doesn't want to defend the fact that he eliminated the right to choose, that, again, every woman in America had a national right to choose when he became president, and every woman in America now lives without a national right to choose because he took it away from them, right? That's the last thing that they want to talk about. So they'll talk about anything, whether it is this, whether it is people allegedly eating cats or dogs or geese, or anything else that he can change the subject to in order to try to divert from that. This campaign, and in particular the vice president, have been very disciplined and very effective at seeking to deny them the chance to change the subject like that.
Yeah, we'll see, obviously, with the voters thing. I do want to ask you what we heard from Senator V.D Vance today, where he finally gave an answer on whether or not he thinks Donald Trump lost the election. I think, unsurprisingly, he said, no, Trump did not. He said, quote, by the words that he himself, that Vance would use. It's a question he has dodged for several weeks now. What do you make of what he said tonight, saying, essentially denying that Donald Trump lost the election, that Donald Trump did lose?
Well, first of all, it's wrong, of course. Donald Trump lost, and I think he knows that. I think he's lying. I also think it's a mistake politically because voters have a dim view of election deniers. And up until now, he's tried to avoid officially becoming an election denier by dodging the question, answering the question with the question, doing anything he could but give a straight answer. Now that he's given a straight answer, J.D. Vance is officially on the record as an election denier, something that is shameful, but also something that certainly if we look at 2022 and have pretty much anybody who was an election denier who was on the ballot in so many swing states, statewide races lost, I think that's something that's a setback. Now, he probably has no choice because Donald Trump has probably demanded that he lie and that he say that. But look, one of the most profoundly important things in a democratic process is that when you lose an election, You say so. I mean, it's one of the most fundamental parts of how democracy works. It's no fun to lose an election. I know what it's like to lose an election, but you do it. It should go without saying. The fact that it didn't go without saying is one of the most disqualifying things that helps to explain why so many conservative Republicans are not just sitting this one out, but campaigning for Kamala Harris, even though they disagree with her on a lot of policies.
Well, also to say in my words, I would not, it seemed a way to couch saying that he doesn't think Donald Trump lost the election, saying, in the words that I would use, no, he didn't. I mean, words are words, losses are losses, wins are wins. So that's, I think, the part that confused me the most of that answer.
Joe Biden won. Donald Trump lost. And anybody who cannot bring themselves to say that out loud, just the way I, as much as it pains me, will say Donald Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost the election back in 2016, can't say that. That is literally disqualifying for the vice presidency or the presidency.
Pete Buttigieg, thank you for your time tonight.
Yes, my friends, that was Pete Buttigieg on CNN. He laid out some facts that I want us to look at. That for VP Kamala Harris to go on Fox News, she has a mission, and the mission was accomplished. And for sure that when you go on Fox News or even any network, right, you do not allow them to control you. You control the moment in which VP Kamala Harris, she did it. You know what I mean? I was thinking like, because he has been on Fox News so many times, Pete Buttigieg. So I was thinking maybe he actually give VP Kamala Harris a hint how to do interview on Fox News. But I was proven wrong that Noah, he did not lecture or coach or give VP Kamala Harris any advice. So that was direct from VP Kamala Harris and for sure from a couple of lectures here and there. But she has never been on Fox News before and she took control of the moment. What do you guys think? As usual, please let's continue the conversation down there in the comment section. How many days to go to election? The countdown has begun and I hope y'all are informed or, you know what I mean, and ready to make history happen. I'll catch up with you guys later. Please, let's respect ourselves when we comment. Thanks to all my return subscriber. If you haven't joined the growing community, please do not forget to do so. And bye for now.